Bertha Russell is many things: ambitious, strategic, and proud. But in episode 6, we finally see her do what she's rarely done before: act as a mother first. She travels all the way to England, not for status or influence, but to save Gladyce's future. But this isn't a warm reunion or a loving lecture. This is Bertha stepping into a battle she wasn't trained for, one where tradition is weaponized and where Lady Sarah plays a much older and more dangerous game. The trailer hints at Bertha delivering the cold, calculating line: "If you want to cook an omelet, you have to break a few eggs." But what that line really means is that Bertha has come ready to break whatever she must to free her daughter from the Duchess's grip. It's a full circle moment because George once said the same thing in season 1. The Russells may be struggling in different corners of the world, but their survival instincts are identical. Gladyce, still young and unsure, has been cornered long enough. She's endured Lady Sarah's passive-aggressive scolding, the emotional manipulation, and the suffocating expectations of aristocracy. But now, with her mother at her side, the most dramatic tiara the British have probably seen this season, it finally feels like the Russells are pushing back. In one scene, Gladyce and Hector walk away from Sarah in full defiance. No words are needed. The message is clear: Bertha's daughter will not be treated like a pawn. But this fight isn't just about Gladyce, it's about Bertha reclaiming control of her collapsing world. Because while she's navigating British hostility back in New York, her husband is quietly drowning. George's battle for the new rail line has never been more intense. From the preview, we see him once again with JP Morgan, and whatever is being said, it's not good. His assistant stands awkwardly beside him, almost as if even he doesn't want to repeat the news. George has risked everything: his fortune, his name, and now the future of his entire family rests on whether or not this project goes through. But here's the tension: it won't be resolved in this episode. No, this is going to be a slow burn, the kind that keeps getting worse before it gets better. And that's exactly what makes it thrilling. George is surrounded by powerful men who can't be trusted. And while he plays the game as well as anyone, we can see the wear and tear showing. For a man who built his empire with precision, watching it slip away bit by bit is enough to destroy anyone. But what if the key to his salvation is the son he once underestimated? Larry has been strangely quiet, hasn't he? For a character so central to the family, his absence has started to feel suspicious. And that's exactly what Marion picks up on. In this episode, she finds out that Larry went to the Haymarket the very day of their engagement, and he didn't say a word to her, to anyone. And suddenly, the cracks begin to show. Larry may not have done anything wrong, at least not from our perspective, but Marion doesn't know that. All she knows is that the man she's about to marry disappeared during one of the most important moments of their relationship. And worse, he didn't feel the need to explain. Marion trusted someone before, and we all know how that ended. This time her instincts scream that she's repeating the same mistake. And when we see that clip from the trailer where she breaks down, whispering that she trusted the wrong man again, it hits hard. Not because it's dramatic, but because it's real. How many times can someone open their heart only to be left in the dark? Larry has some explaining to do, but will he even get the chance? Back in the Russell household, another story brews, one that threatens to rip open the truth about love, identity, and societal limits. Peggy confides in Dr. Kirkland about her past, the child she lost, the man she once loved, and the pain she's tried to bury for so long. It's a moment of vulnerability, but it's also one of courage, because Peggy knows that to move forward, she has to stop hiding. But the world isn't ready to accept a woman like her, especially not someone as entitled and judgmental as William's mother, Elizabeth. In the past episodes, Elizabeth has hidden her distaste behind polite smiles. But now, it's different. Now, she knows the truth about Peggy's past. And instead of sympathy, she uses it like a weapon. For Elizabeth, Peggy is everything wrong with modern women: independent, ambitious, and worse, black. And from what the trailer shows, she doesn't hold back. The question is, what will William do? Will he finally stand up to his mother? Or will he let Peggy fight this battle alone? It's a test not just of love, but of character. And with Peggy's heart on the line, the stakes couldn't be higher. And while all of this unfolds, the quietest storyline might just become the most explosive. Jack, now suddenly rich, is questioning his future. Will he leave the house? Will he stay loyal? Ada tries to guide him, but even she is overwhelmed. The Van Rhijn household is in chaos. Jack's fortune has thrown off the delicate balance, and Agnes, who once ruled every corner with silent authority, is retreating. But is it surrender Or is she teaching Ada a painful lesson about leadership? The walls are closing in on every side. Every character is at a breaking point. And what happens next could shatter everything. As Bertha battles in England and George struggles to save his empire in New York, the city's social stage becomes a war zone of its own. And right in the center of it is Oscar van Rhijn. For 3 seasons now, Oscar has lived a double life carefully, playing society's expectations while hiding the truth about who he really is. But in episode 6, that delicate balance comes crashing down. The confrontation we've all been waiting for Oscar and Ma finally happens. And from the trailer, it's not just a heated conversation, it's personal, it's emotional, and it's dangerous. Because Ma isn't just a con artist. She's a woman with secrets that could destroy more than one reputation if they come to light. If you've been following Oscar's arc, you know he's desperate. Desperate to keep up appearances, desperate to keep Adam close, desperate to hold on to whatever control he still has. But Ma knows this, and she uses it. Whether she truly scammed Oscar on her own or was a puppet in a much bigger game is still unclear. But what is clear is that Oscar wants justice, or revenge, or maybe just closure. And he might not care what it costs him to get it. Now, here's where things get murky. You see, Ma's story isn't just fiction. It's based on a real-life woman who pretended to be the daughter of a powerful industrialist and conned banks out of thousands. But in the Gilded Age, there's something even more sinister going on. Because Ma seems too messy to be the mastermind. She's working at the Haymarket, now a clear fall from her fake high society persona. She's not living the life of someone who stole a fortune. Which means, who got the money? Did someone else put her up to it? Is she covering for someone? And if she is, who's pulling the strings behind the curtain? Oscar, for all his flair and arrogance, is no match for a truly dangerous schemer. And that's what makes this confrontation so tense. He's stepping into a trap without knowing it. And if Adam is involved, whether as support or something, else Oscar may not come out of this the way he expects. The image of him and Adam looking broken at the end of the trailer. It doesn't scream triumph, it screams loss. And we have to ask, what? Did they lose? Meanwhile, back in the Van Rhijn household, the air is thick with uncertainty. Ada, usually quiet and mild, finds herself suddenly thrown into chaos. Jack, the once humble footman, is now a man with means. And everyone knows it. At first it was a surprise. Then it became gossip. And now it's a problem. Because when someone like Jack, someone who was always supposed to know his place, suddenly rises, it threatens the order of everything around him. Agnes, for all her wisdom and experience, knows this too well. That's why she's stepping back. Not because she's tired, but because she wants Ada to feel the weight of responsibility. To understand that being in charge isn't about sipping tea and writing letters. It's about holding a house together when everything wants to fall apart. Ada doesn't know how to manage the staff, the tension, or even her own emotions about Jack possibly leaving. But she has to learn, because Agnes won't step in this time. The episode preview shows a sharp conversation between them, full of sarcasm and blame. Agnes throws her hands up, essentially saying, "You wanted to lead, so lead?" And Ada? She finally looks scared. But it's not just household politics at play. The mid-season trailer hints at something deeper, something more spiritual. Ada turns once again to the medium to speak to Luke, to seek guidance. And whether you believe in spirits or not, one thing is clear. Ada feels completely alone. She's clinging to anything that might give her direction. And while Agnes may think she's teaching a lesson, the emotional toll on Ada is real. She doesn't want Jack to leave. Not just because she relies on him, but because he represents something pure, something comforting. If he goes, what does she'll have left? And more importantly, will he go quietly? Will his departure cause even more disruption? Then there's the matter of Marion and Larry. The trailer doesn't show them together, and that says everything. Marion is hurt. And not just romantically, this cuts deeper. Because after everything she's been through, after trusting and being betrayed by Tom Rakes in season 1, after watching her dreams fade, she finally let herself believe in something real again. Larry Russell wasn't just a suitor. He was the promise of stability, of equality, of a partnership where she wouldn't have to give up who she is. But now he's gone. Off at the Haymarket, silent, distant, and Marion is spiraling. There's a heartbreaking moment in the trailer where she looks completely defeated, whispering that she made a mistake, that she trusted the wrong person. Again. And it's not just self-pity, it's fear. Because what if this really is a pattern? What if she's doomed to always choose wrong? Larry's intentions may be noble weed. No, he didn't do anything scandalous at the Haymarket. Jack was there. The man was likely just trying to learn or contribute to something bigger. But intent doesn't matter when trust is broken. Marion needed honesty, and Larry failed. Can he fix it? Maybe. But the clock is ticking. And the longer he stays away, the more fragile that relationship becomes. Peggy's storyline, meanwhile, is gaining power. What started as a quiet subplot is now one of the most emotionally charged arcs in the entire season. Because Peggy Scott isn't just fighting for love, she's fighting for respect, for belonging, for the right to have a life without constant judgment. And Elizabeth Kirkland is not making that easy. In episode 6, Elizabeth's disdain comes into full view. The trailer suggests a sharp confrontation, possibly passive, possibly overt, but absolutely racially charged. And here's the twist. Elizabeth now knows Peggy's past. She knows about the child, about the pain. And instead of showing compassion, she uses it as ammunition. She reduces Peggy to her mistakes, dismisses her ambitions, and paints her as a threat to her son's future. It's ugly. It's infuriating. And it's painfully real. The question is, what will William do? He has stood by Peggy in the past. He has defended her, supported her. But now, when the pressure is highest, will he bend? Or will he finally draw a line and tell his mother that enough is enough? This isn't just about love anymore. It's about legacy, about what kind of man William really is. And for Peggy, it's about more than just another heartbreak. It's about her dignity, her dreams, her identity, and the viewers will feel every moment of it. By the end of Section 2, we are left with characters scattered across continents, each of them fighting their own invisible wars. Bertha versus Lady Sarah, George versus the Rail Barons, Oscar versus M.A. Marianne, V.S. her own heartbreak, Peggy versus prejudice, Jack versus his future, and Ada versus the crushing weight of responsibility. Every storyline is a thread being pulled tight, and we all know what happens when you pull too hard, things snap. And in the Gilded Age, when things snap, lives change forever. As the storm builds across every storyline, the Gilded Age Season 3, Episode 6 promises one thing above all else no. One is safe from consequences. The foundations that once seemed untouchable are beginning to crack. And in a world where appearance means everything, reputation is the only currency. In this episode, those who once held power find themselves suddenly vulnerable. And those who were always cast to the side now begin to rise, though not without paying a price. The brilliance of this season lies in its slow unraveling of the social order. It's no longer just about wealth. It's about control, influence, survival. And most of all, it's about whose truth is allowed to be told. Let's talk about Ada and Agnes, two sisters whose lives have always revolved around tradition and propriety. Agnes has always been the unshakable matriarch, cold but reliable. She made decisions without apology and ruled her house with silent authority. Ada, in contrast, has always been softer, quieter, more idealistic, but with Agnes stepping back, we're seeing just how ill-equipped Ada is to manage the chaos that's brewing in the Van Rhijn home. And the chaos isn't just from the outside, it's growing from within. Jack's unexpected fortune has unbalanced everything. Servants now whisper about him behind closed doors. Guests look at him differently. And Ada, who once found comfort in his loyalty and simplicity, is now unsure of where she stands. She tries to guide him, to offer support, but there's a growing distance. Jack isn't just the footman anymore. He's a man with choices. And that terrifies Ada, because what if he chooses a life that doesn't include her? The trailer gives us glimpses of what's coming. Ada, overwhelmed and desperate, seeks out the medium once more. Not for entertainment, but for answers. She wants to speak to Luke, her late love, her eternal anchor. It's not just about grief. It's about being lost. Because as much as Ada wanted independence, she's realizing that leadership comes with loneliness. Agnes knows this all too well. That's why she watches from the shadows, allowing Ada to struggle. She believes hardship builds strength. But what if Ada breaks instead? What if she's not the version of Agnes everyone expected her to become? This storyline, quiet as it may seem, is one of the most emotionally intense of the episode. Because it's not about external threats, it's about internal collapse. And the viewers, who've seen Ada pushed around for years, will feel every ounce of her confusion, fear, and sadness. Meanwhile, the Russell family remains at the heart of the season's greatest tension. Bertha is still in England fighting for Gladyce's future, But George is back in New York, his empire hanging by a thread. The preview shows him sitting across from JP Morgan once again, and the mood is grim. His assistant looks uncomfortable. George, usually calm and composed, is visibly agitated. And this time, it doesn't look like there's a quick fix. His rail project, once a symbol of ambition and power, has become a noose around his neck. The market has turned against him. Investors are hesitant, and the whispers of failure are growing louder. For a man like George Russell, this isn't just financial, this is existential. He built his identity around success, and now that identity is under siege. But here's where the suspense deepens. Because while George appears to be losing ground, Larry may be the one holding the key. In earlier episodes, we saw hints that the mines, once considered worthless, may actually hold untapped value. And if Larry's the one to realize this, if he figures out how to turn failure into fortune, he won't just save his father's empire, he'll redefine his place in the family. But the irony is brutal. Larry's off trying to help, while Marion interprets his absence as betrayal. She has no idea what he's doing. No idea that he might be risking everything to build a future for both of them. And this lack of communication, this widening gap, becomes the true tragedy of their relationship. They're both trying to protect something precious, but doing it in isolation. And in a world like that kind of isolation is fatal. And then there's the confrontation between Oscar and Ma's storyline that continues to gain momentum with every passing scene. Oscar, desperate and cornered, finally faces off with the woman who may have conned him out of everything. But Ma is not what he expected. She's not smug or victorious. She's tired, worn down, working at the Haymarket and barely holding it together. And that's what makes this moment so chilling, because it raises the question, if Ma didn't keep the money, who did? Did someone set her up? Is she just the front for a larger scheme? Or was she always part of something deeper and darker than we imagined? Oscar wants answers, but he may not be prepared for the truth, especially if that truth involves someone he knows. Adam's involvement adds another layer of tension. Is he helping Oscar because he cares, or because he has his own motives? The trailer shows the two men looking defeated, emotionally wrecked. Something went wrong. And whatever it is, it hits hard. Because Oscar, for all his flaws, isn't built for loss. He's built for show, for charm, for control. When he loses those things, when he's exposed, he unravels. And if Adam was the last person he thought he could count on, and that trust is broken, then Oscar may be about to hit rock bottom. The tension in this storyline isn't explosive. It's quiet. Creeping, it gets under your skin and stays there. Because it's not about revenge anymore. It's about what happens when the mask comes off. The social dynamics across the season are shifting to those who once controlled the room with a glance or a whispered word are finding that power doesn't last forever. Bertha may be triumphing in England for now, but in New York, her absence is being felt. Her social rivals are circling, and while she's gone, her home is more vulnerable than ever. Mrs. Bruce, the ever-loyal housekeeper, is seen in the trailer looking deeply unsettled. Some fans believe it's about the Mola servant leaking information. Others think it's about her forbidden romance with a cook. But whatever it is, the staff is no longer stable. And in a household like the Russells, staff are everything. They keep the secrets. They carry the image. And if one of them breaks, everything collapses. At the same time, we're getting hints of something tragic on the horizon. The trailer shows glimpses of sadness characters in mourning, a heaviness that lingers. Early reviews of the season suggested a death was coming, but the identity has remained a closely guarded secret. Could it be someone beloved? Someone unexpected? The image of Oscar and Adam looking broken could be about more than betrayal. It could be about loss. Real, irreversible loss. And if that happens in episode 6, it will change the tone of the entire season. Everything from that point forward would be shaped by grief. And knowing how the Gilded Age loves to mix personal tragedy with societal shifts, the death, if it happens, won't just be emotional. It will be symbolic. It will represent the end of something greater, a legacy, a dream, a way of life. Finally, let's circle back to Peggy, because her storyline isn't just about romance anymore. It's about legacy, about rewriting the rules. Her confrontation with Elizabeth Kirkland, whether direct or through icy social manipulation, will be one of the most important scenes of the episode, because it lays bare the central question of the season. Who gets to belong in this world? Peggy has the talent, the drive, the elegance, but Elizabeth only sees race, status, and scandal. She refuses to see the woman in front of her, and that kind of ignorance is the most dangerous kind. William's response will define their relationship. If he stands by Peggy, they have a chance. If he falters, if he lets his mother win, then Peggy walks away for good, and we'll cheer her on because by now she has earned our respect more than anyone else. So by the end of episode 6, everything is teetering on the edge. The Russells, the Van Rhynes, the Kirklands, even the staff, all of them are facing crossroads. The kind where every choice has consequences. The kind where one wrong step changes everything. And in this world, there are no second chances. Just masks, money, and the ever-present fear of losing it all.